Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:33, so we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum this evening. Mrs. Glenda Moreno is available to us via Zoom. She's right here. And Mr. Carl Jenkins will not be with us this evening. I'd like to announce that this meeting of the Seguin Independent School District has been duly called. The notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.043 of the Texas Government Code. This evening we have a student. Her name is Leah Bernal from Kinnicky Elementary, and she's going to come up here and lead us in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you so much. You did a marvelous job this evening. All right, I'll give everybody a bit of time for a moment of silence right now. Thank you, everyone. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Gutierrez for his superintendent announcements.
Good evening, Matador Nation. These past 3 weeks since Thanksgiving have passed quickly as our students and staff eagerly await the holiday break. As one can imagine, there have been many campus and community events as we close out 2021. And wow, has it been great to be able to have in-person events this season. Principal Jay Law and his staff hosted a graduation walk for our most recent NBLC graduates. It was special to be part of this celebration to support these students as they move forward to explore their bright futures. At Jefferson Elementary, Principal Valerie Gunter piloted the Cookies with Cops program, where members of the Seguin Police Department were on campus during lunchtime to hand out cookies to students. Officers also handed out their own personalized trading cards, which were a big hit with our students. A big thank you to Chief Nichols for bringing this program to Jefferson Elementary. The annual Seguin Education Foundation Prize Patrol recently visited Seguin ISD schools and distributed more than $50,000 in grant funds to our teachers. Special thanks to the members of the Mighty Matador Band, who were part of the festivities along with the Seguin Education Foundation Board of Directors. SEF continues to play a vital role in the success of our school district. Last week, the dual language program hosted family night here at the admin offices. The theme was Welcome to Our Christmas Market. While the event was supposed to start at 5:30, we had to start early because we had so many families in attendance, and students had the opportunity to visit several learning stations to take part in fun holiday activities. Our dual language team did a great job for our students and parents. I appreciate all of the local businesses and industry representatives who attended the construction trades open house at Seguin High School. While this program has been extremely popular with our students over the years, we are looking to make it bigger and better through increased business partnerships, and we are hopeful to have a construction trades booster club in the very near future. Today, I also received an email from an elf that Santa is trying to schedule visits to Seguin ISD elementary schools on Thursday. Hopefully, he can carve out some time in his busy schedule to say hello to our students. I pray that our students, staff, and trustees enjoy a safe and restful Christmas holiday, and I look forward to seeing everyone upon our return in 2022. And remember, it is a great day to be a Matador.
Wow, that's packed full of a lot of information. Santa's the best part in there. All right, we're going to move on our agenda to our recognition and campus presentations. So first up, we have a campus highlight. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Crittenden to introduce our campus.
No, I'm going to take care of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ms. Crittenden. I am very sorry about that, Ms. Duncan. This is your district. Okay.
Well, this evening we are Matador proud to learn about programs and initiatives in our school. Let's welcome Kinnicky Elementary School Principal Meredith Stadler, who is here to introduce the dual language program at Kinnicky Elementary. Extra points for the shiny jacket.
Thank you. It seemed fitting for Matador Pride. Well, good evening, members of the board, Dr. Gutierrez, Madam President. Thank you for having us here tonight. We're very excited to highlight one of the great things going on at Kinnicky. While there are a number of wonderful things going on, tonight we're going to highlight our dual language program. As you know, at Kinnicky, our program is two-way. From kinder to third grade is one way in fourth grade and early exit in fifth grade. Right now, our kindergartners experience 90% Spanish instruction and 10% English. And by the time they hit fifth grade, they'll be at a 50-50 model and will graduate from the fifth grade biliterate in both English and Spanish, which is incredibly empowering, and we're really excited to celebrate that. For Kinnicky, dual language is not just a program, it is a culture. We're trying to really flesh out that culture at our school and work on just spreading the idea of welcoming all different kinds of people, cultures, ideas, languages, and celebrating everybody. So we're going to go ahead and celebrate that with our video, produced by our wonderful Mr. Terry in RT Productions.
That I think from the dual language program, where I hope to see is that the students they leave the program being biliterate, meaning that they can read, write, and speak in two different languages, Spanish and English in this case. They are able to communicate with other Spanish-speaking countries, and it's like a whole second world open to them. There's more job opportunities, more cultural awareness. There's just so much out there for them, being able to speak two different languages.
Algunos de los beneficios que yo he visto es que los alumnos tienen confianza en sí mismos, tienen más confianza en hablar, en comunicarse, en desarrollarse como un alumno bien desarrollado y capaces de hacer más porque saben los idiomas. Les ayudará en el futuro, como mi compañera dice, van a poder tener más trabajo disponibles porque saben los idiomas. Otra cosa es que ellos pueden ayudar a otros a aprender otro idioma y en eso les crea más confianza en sí mismos.
I have seen the benefits in the students with meaningful conversations, and they have really deep collaborations using their primary language, and you can see the cross between both, where they'll say one word in English and one word in Spanish, suma or addition, and they're really understanding.
Lo que he visto más que estoy muy orgulloso de ver es cómo los estudiantes, los dos grupos de estudiantes aceptan el desafío de aprender el lenguaje contrario de lo que ellos tienen más. Me ha gustado ver cómo los niños de español pues, aceptaron la renta del inglés y siguen mejorando, y como los de inglés igualmente. Me ha gustado mucho. Al principio los estudiantes, pues como todos, cuando es algo nuevo, notan pues un poco nerviosos, ¿verdad? Cuando sabía que iba a haber más del otro lenguaje. Pero ver cómo han mejorado durante todo el año en leer palabras, en leer oraciones, sus resultados en ortografía, en lectura, ha sido muy asombroso, y se mira en ellos cómo ellos reaccionan, lo que pueden hacer, ellos a veces pensaban que no podían. Y como les digo yo siempre a ellos, ahora y en el futuro del mundo, siempre van a valer por dos.
One of the benefits I see in my students this year is they accept the challenges of learning in another language. For example, my monolingual students, they accept the challenge of learning in a different language, and they help each other out. I see a lot of collaboration between them in their languages and stuff. And it's really amazing how students embrace that second language and love it.
Los beneficios del programa dual que yo veo, empezando el programa bilingüe, cuando se empezó aquí en Seguin ISD, yo he visto los beneficios con este grupo porque he ido al siguiente grado con este mismo grupo. Así que he visto cómo ellos se han desarrollado en un segundo idioma. También he visto cómo ellos trabajan en grupos, trabajan juntos para lograr un objetivo. Ellos dos trabajan para poderse comprender, para poderse ayudar a leer, escribir y sobre todo a comunicarse. Los dos grupos se pueden comunicar en los dos idiomas, en inglés y en español. Estos dos grupos se han desarrollado desde kinder. Entonces, desde kinder, cuando ellos escucharon inglés y español en las áreas de contenido y en las áreas como especiales, ellos dos pudieron lograr el objetivo que es hacerlos biculturales, bilingües, y sobre todo tener esta mentalidad que no solamente pueden aprender un idioma, sino también pueden desarrollar otros idiomas, porque ellos tienen la capacidad de aprender más idiomas.
¿Les gusta aprender español? A mí me gusta aprender español y aprender cosas nuevas. A mí me gusta, what I like about the language is you get to learn two languages, which is more fun than learning one. That way, if you have someone who has a different language and doesn't speak your language, you know how to speak their language too.
I like the dual language program because you get to learn a new language and meet new friends, sometimes from Mexico, sometimes from other countries.
Yo me gusta leer nuevas palabras. With Mr. Castro, we learn more Spanish than English, and then in Ms. Isaacs, we learn a little more English and math. I like that we learn more words and that I can learn how to hablar más español. Me gusta ayudar a los en inglés niños. I like to help the English kids. Me gusta estar en el programa hablo, escribo y leo en inglés y español. I love being bilingual.
I just want to commend the efforts that have been made at Kinnicky over the last 4.5 years to really transform how we educate not only our bilingual students whose primary or first language is Spanish, but also our English students who are learning a second language. It certainly takes an entire campus to really buy in to this idea, and Kinnicky has done an amazing job of supporting the two-way dual language program, and that is why we've seen such success with it. And to think that we are only in our 4th year, and that is the progress that we have seen. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to tell whether you were in a bilingual classroom or not. And today, this is what you see walking into a two-way dual language program. And so I commend the efforts over the last several years at Kinnicky under Ms. Stadler's leadership, as well as Ms. Moreno's leadership, who started the program back in 2017, 2018. Thank you so much. You all should be so proud.
Dr. D, I just wanted to echo that too. I was able to be on campus back in October, I think, for a parade that they had, and then just coming the other night to the dual language program, and just the joy that existed on the campus when I was there, and the joy that was in the room the other night. It was quite a sight to see. So thank you very much for all your hard work that you're doing at campus.
Yeah. And I want to say I worked at Kinnicky as a teacher when it first opened. I won't say what year that was, but this campus has changed dramatically since then, and just as Dr. Gutierrez said, in the last 5 years, the opportunities we're providing for these students is phenomenal. But I can't leave this discussion without also giving Dr. Gutierrez and Ms. Aramillo a lot of credit as well. They brought the dual credit program the two-way program to Seguin ISD, and we're very blessed that we have them here in the district. All right. Moving on, we have our next item on the agenda, which is student, staff, and board community recognition. We're going to start off with our superintendent's awards for Students of the Month.
This is always a very special moment when you have the opportunity to recognize and celebrate the efforts of our students and our staff members. For December, we are recognizing students who our campus principals have designated as deserving students of the Superintendent of the Month Award. When you think about it, we have over 7,000 students in our school system, and tonight we are recognizing 3, one from the elementary, one from the middle, and one from the high school. I'm proud to say that the 3 outstanding students are with us tonight, and I will ask that they come forward with their family when their name is called. The first student comes to us from Kinnicky Elementary, and she is Jaden Bernal, and she is a 4th grade student in Mrs. Stanfield's class. He is a wonderful example of servant leadership and continuously seeks ways to help others, such as holding the doors open or offering to carry things. In class, he works hard each and every single day, but also actively seeks out ways to help his classmates. Jaden is in Kinnicky's ACE program and uses that as an opportunity to find ways to provide help as well. His attitude is positive, kind, humble, and sincere, and he is a true example of high-quality leadership, and Kinnicky is extremely proud of Jaden. His parents are Cynthia and Ivan Bernal. Congratulations, Jaden. And his younger sister, Jess did the pledges, both the U.S. and Texas pledges. From Barnes Middle School, Sienna Sines is a 7th grade student. She is an incredibly creative, astute, considerate, and caring student. She shows perseverance and works hard at everything that she does, refusing to quit when faced with a problem. In addition, she volunteers to assist other students doing group work to help them understand a skill whenever she has the opportunity. Sienna is a fantastic student that always has a bright, positive attitude every day. Her parents are Terry and Frank Sines. Congratulations. Our next student is from Seguin High School. Alan Dotson is a senior at Seguin High School. He is currently ranked in the top 10% of his class. Alan is enrolled in dual credit and AP classes and is also a member of the Matador varsity football team. He is an excellent student who is respectful and always goes above and beyond what is asked of him. Alan helps to make every day a great day to be a Matador at Seguin High School. Alan's parents are Laura and Jeff Dotson. Congratulations, Alan. Let's give these students another round of applause. For the Superintendent's Apple Award, tonight's honoree joined the Rodriguez Elementary School family this year and quickly became an essential part of the literacy program at the campus. The energy and enthusiasm she brings has instilled a renewed love of reading to Rodriguez Elementary. She employs fun and meaningful methods to initiate reading challenges, including Mayon, reading logs, Matador's Caught Reading, the Bluebonnet Reading Challenge, plus book reports and reviews. She also raised a record amount of funds with this year's Scholastic Book Fair. Additionally, she has graced Rodriguez hallways with elaborate displays, including colorful bulletin boards highlighting Hispanic Heritage Month, turkeys in disguise, and most recently, a stocking decorating contest. She is continuously supporting teachers and looking for new ideas. Let's give a hand for our December Apple Award winner, Rodriguez Elementary School librarian, Jennifer Brushenhan, are known as Miss B. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ms. B. Okay, next up on our agenda, Seguin ISD does designate a time for audience participation at the beginning of each meeting to hear persons who desire to make comments in accordance with BED local. And so those willing to speak shall sign up before the meeting, stating a concern or noting the agenda item they wish to address. The audience participation is limited to 5 minutes. The board shall not deliberate any subject that is not on the posted agenda. And this evening, we do have someone signed up. We have Ms. Mary Ellen Mendez, and she's going to speak to us about ESS. Here you are, come on up. I want to tell you my timer is not here this evening, so I'm going to try to time you. So I'll give you minutes when, as you're clocking down, okay? Okay, thank you.
My name is Mary Ellen Mendez. I live at 513 North Bowie. This is my second time in front of you, but I have new information, and that information includes the following. I was lucky to go work at the high school where I used to work, where I like to work, but we have not been called over there. We're put in the back burner. The new company, ESS, will call new subs. They don't call us because we're supposed to be the veterans and the old subs. Well, the other day we talked to coaches and the students and some teachers, and they asked us, why haven't you been here? And we told them the reason. And they said, well, we want you here. And so now we're telling you that we want to have our jobs back. They haven't called us. They always call the new subs. And I understand they're getting paid less, and that's probably why they don't want us. Well, the other day, I'm going to take an assignment at Barnes. That's where I've been working. Thanks to the secretary at Barnes, Ms. Pacheco, she knows how to handle this. The person that you have calling, ESS calling us, does not know how to handle us. Anyway, she just wants to text us and doesn't want to talk to us about it, So, we found out that I'm going to take an assignment. This teacher's going to go on maternity leave very soon. And she texts that now our job they're not going to pay us what the school district did on the first day. They're going to pay us 30 days into your job, which is ridiculous. And I understand why. They're trying to save money. We should get paid the day we walk in to do the long-term assignment. I'm talking about a long-term assignment that I've done before. This teacher said, I want you, the students and the Spanish and things like that. She said, if they bring somebody else here, which is a new one, she said, I won't accept it. I don't like that, So that's why I'm telling you that supposedly I'm not supposed to put any gas in my car and don't eat for the next 30 days when I'm still working until my 30 days are up. Then the ESS will come in with a new pay for a long-term sub, which is ridiculous. All right. The next thing I want to tell you is that I have this shirt here for the student that we bought. He's a student that was diagnosed with cancer. And we're asked to contribute to her cost, for this young student. And I want to tell you, you should tell the new company, ESS, that is taking our local money to their bank and their state to donate some money to this cause. We're very unhappy about it, Also, there's several members that will go and be maybe suspended or something because the children, especially middle school, will go and say something that we said wrong. Well, that's not true. They shouldn't take their word. I've been told many, many things, and I feel like saying something, but I know that I can't. I have a pair of shoes that I like, and they're black and white. They want to know if I'm wearing my bowling shoes. And that's not even the lesson. They come up with things that they shouldn't, The next thing they want to say is, well, go on, Grandma, and eat your cream of wheat or your oatmeal. That's very unnecessary. They just don't have any respect at all at the middle school. I like the middle school, and I like to work there, and I like their personnel and their students. But again, we wanted our job back at the high school because we want to work at the high school. We're experienced. We know the students. The students want us, and so do the coaches that I talk to all the time, and the teachers, they want us there. But this person that ESS has, they're calling the new students. They don't have any experience, but they want to be there. They don't want to go work at junior high. They don't want to go work at elementary because we talked to them. They said, no, they were promised at the high school. Well, we want our jobs back at the high school. That's what we want to do, and that's what we enjoy, and we're very comfortable in doing that job. So again, we want to hear from you to see what you have to say about this new company. She doesn't want to meet with us. She just wants you to shoot a text. That's what she wants us to do because she doesn't want to meet with us. We're willing to meet with us, with her, and talk to her about our issues. And we do want to continue our work that we like. Thank you very much, and I hope that we hear from you. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mendez. All righty, next up on our agenda are our reports and information items. We're going to start off with item 4A, which is a report from Ms. Kelly Ballas on the Seguin Education Foundation.
Good evening, School Board, Dr. Gutierrez, Madam President. My name is Kelly Donegan-Fallis. I'm the proud Executive Director of your Seguin Education Foundation, and I'm here to give you a brief update for our activities this academic year. Okay, our board. When I was first, do I need to push something? Oh, is this one? The other one? Sorry. Sorry. Maybe here. Where am I pointing?
On the right side here. Hit the right side. The right side of that circle. And the big circle.
Oh, okay, now I got it. All right, so when I was first hired back in September, it was clear that job one was to expand our board. Our executive board wanted that, and as did Dr. Gutierrez, and I think that you'll agree from, whoa. We already went back to the very, well, now we got okay. There they are. That is some of our board. It's clear that our board and their willingness to serve is an indication of how they value and how our community values our school district. Our bylaws say that we are to have 21 to 35 board members. Right now we have 32. We're about to get the 33rd in January when we will swear in Steve Shapey as a member. So we actually have developed a waiting list, which is really exciting. We are happy to keep adding to that list. Our board members that you see right there are serving a 2 to 3 year term. They drew for their term. Ongoing, it'll be a 3-year term. And I would like to introduce our board members who are present. Many couldn't come this busy time of year, but those who are present, please stand. We have Mike and Candy Andrews in the back, Jeremy Garza right there. We have Crystal Patterson behind her, then Miss Michelle DeLeon, Casey Tankersley, and standing in for our actual board member, Natalie Avalos, is Pastor Marcos Avalos. And we have, a great representation from our community. Thank you so much. We have been very busy. So, Welcome Wagon was the first activity out of the gate. And that's where we go out to our campuses and award a $50 bill to every new teacher. We had 112 new teachers this year in our district, and we heard from those teachers who we visited, and they were blown away by the warm welcome, but they also were really appreciative of the support that they get in their jobs every day. So it's not just that we showed up one day, it's that they felt supported all the time. So we're glad to add our part to that celebration. The next thing up recently was Prize Patrol. We awarded over $50,000 in grants. We went out to the campuses and got to, as Dr. Gutierrez said, have the band accompany us, and we had a great time getting those dollars out to where they're needed. There's quite a participation from our board members as well. You can see many of them there. Now, the fundraising efforts that we undertake to be able to fund those grants are very much appreciated, and so we're going to talk about those coming up. We have Mardi Gras on May 22nd. That is our big banquet fundraiser. That's when we all get together and celebrate Mardi Gras, actually a week before the actual Mardi Gras date this year. But we're going to have gumbo and crab cakes and bread pudding and a really great time. So we have sponsorship opportunities for that, as well as all 3 events. And you can do them all at one time for just a little bit more than you would sponsor a Mardi Gras sponsorship. We have different levels, starting at $5,000 and going down, and we really need this fundraiser to be successful in order to fund our ongoing activities. The Race for Education is right hot on its tail. We don't take much time off around at the Education Foundation. So our race is coming up after that. We're going to anchor it at the backyard. It should be a great time. We're going to have lots going on for the kids while the race is going on, and we'll have a raffle at that. And then our Celebration of Excellence, it is tentatively set for May 24th, which is a Tuesday. I think that's going to stick. That's where our top 10% of our graduating class are invited to celebrate their favorite teacher, and each of those students gets a $100 bill, and the teacher gets recognition, and it's a really heartwarming experience. So we're excited about all 3 of those events. This is our statement of operations. Our year ended August 31st. As you can see, we experienced a $13,000 loss, but after paying grants this year, those $50,000 have gone out. Our checking account still has a balance of $30,000, and we have savings of $60,000. Now we're projecting another loss this year. We're kind of rebuilding. We're definitely ramping up on our fundraising end, but we're also ramping up our expenses, which, that's to be expected. So we do have the reserves to cover it, and you never know, we might be surprised and not quite take that much of a loss. But we are definitely on the road to growing our ability to be able to fund these great activities that we do, and so we feel that we'll be supported in that. And that's it. I am available for questions, but I also am going to leave my business cards because I really want to go hear the choir sing. It's not Christmas without that. So we appreciate the community support and your support, and we look forward to doing more in the future.
Well, I just wanted to tell you, I think you're doing a great job, especially looking at the number of people on that board. I was on that board for, 10 years or so, and I could count the number of people who came to our meetings on 2 hands. I didn't even need my toes. So it's very impressive, the number of people and the people from the community that are getting so excited about Seguin ISD. I really appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Ditto, okay. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next information item. We're going to be hearing from Ms. Cindy Moreno about the Educational Solution Services, or ESS. We're going to get an update.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Gutierrez, Board of Trustees. We wanted to provide an update on the ESS substitute staffing rates for this fall semester. We understand that there was an investment made with these services, and we wanted to kind of review where we're at this point in the year and do some comparison over the last year and the year prior so that we can put some perspective to these fill rates. So on the exhibit shown, we're looking at October, November, and December over 3 years. And you can see 2019 was quote-unquote a normal year. And then, of course, 2020, we were hit with all the challenges of COVID and having to fill numerous spots. And so you can see that fill rate dropped drastically from 2019 to 2020 in all 3 years. So we wanted to show 2021's fill rates in comparison, not only to COVID, because of course it's going to look better compared to COVID, but we wanted to show a normal year. And as you can see, our fill rates are at a normal rate or better. This past week, we had 2 days last week with 100% fill rates. And being on a campus, I can tell you that when you are missing a teacher and you don't have a substitute and you're having to put staff members that aren't normally in that classroom in there, not only does it disrupt the learning that's happening, but it's disrupting the operations of the campus. So that means another area is having to be pulled and is being affected by that absence. And as we all know, absences can happen overnight. You know, people get sick and they have to call in. And so that's very difficult to fill at the last minute. And so having this company, that this is their sole focus, we're really seeing the benefits at the campus level. Not only for us, but also at the campus level.
And I think another thing I'd like to share is I've had the opportunity to meet with regional and Bexar County superintendents on a regular basis. We are in an amazing place with our sub-fill rates. Other districts are in the 40s, 50s, 60s with their fill rates. They're increasing their salaries, their compensation for subs significantly, and still being presented with challenges. So the fact that we are attaining this high fill rate for December at 89% is really huge because of just the staffing shortages that you're seeing across the board, but particularly with school districts and their inability to secure enough subs to fill classrooms.
I would also like to note that we have not seen many vacancies, professional vacancies, thank goodness, this school year like other districts have. We have had vacancies in our paraprofessional positions. And so that's very difficult in a classroom when you're relying on that additional pair of hands, especially in the special needs classrooms. ESS has done a phenomenal job of finding and recruiting people that will take those positions because not everybody wants to do that. And so having somebody that can focus 100% of their time in finding and recruiting has been amazing. And so on that last page, we just shared some campus feedback from our administrators on how ESS has affected them in their campuses. I don't know if the people in the back can see that, but I can read them quickly. Substitute fill rates have been extremely high this year, 90+%. ESS responds to our concerns quickly and offers solutions to them. ESS has been extremely responsive, helpful, and determined to keep your classrooms full with attentive subs. The one severe incident we had, ESS was quick to help us walk through the process of reporting the incident and then removing the sub and immediately replacing. ESS has done well with our campus. We have our substitute needs met regularly, and we do receive regular communication. ESS has supported our campus with clear communication, timely responses, relevant and timely data, and strong customer service.
Are there any questions?
I guess I'll address the elephant in the room. We've had some folks from the community come twice now to speak to us. Have they been to speak to you directly?
No, ma'am. And I did reach out to one of the employees that came to speak, and I was not given a phone call back. I can say that every campus, the way they handle and report their absences is different. Some campuses allow their teachers to go in and put in an absence. Obviously, if it's going to be like an emergency call-in, then the teacher has to put that in. But for the most part, what I'm hearing from administrators are the campus secretaries put in the absences if they're ahead of time. They prefer, if they have preferred subs, they obviously ask those subs first. And then if those subs don't respond or they're busy, then they open it up. They just want them to be filled.
Right.
So we do have some that are unfilled occasionally, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So are most of those at the elementary or middle or high school level?
Before the rates were increased and changed by you, thank you all very much, we were seeing that at the elementary. We're not really seeing that so much anymore. Now it's more those special positions that are more difficult to fill.
Central location where somebody can see.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Place.
Yes. So our representative, Ms. Taylor Kaufman, she is in HR with us. She has her own area there. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Guerra has a question.
So it's up to the teacher then to select which sub they want, or who they prefer. The teacher is the one that's supposed to let the secretary know.
Right. The teacher is supposed to let the secretary know if there's somebody specific that they want. If they don't, then the secretary is just going to put it in, and if they have a personal preference, they know that somebody always picks up, they're going to call those subs first.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Thanks for the update. All right, next up we have our gifted and talented update. Sara Mio and Ms. Mahaffey.
Good evening. Tonight you will hear an update from our gifted and talented coordinator, who is also our elementary coordinator and our Texas Reading Academy facilitator. And she has brought her elementary GT facilitator with her as well. This is
Thank you for inviting us tonight to visit with you and give you an update. I have 3 of our facilitators with us. We're missing one of our wonderful facilitators, Mrs. Wellful, that we have Mrs. Krause, and she works at Kinnicky and Vogel. We have Mr. Martin. He's new to the team. We're breaking him in. He's at Jefferson and Fatlan. And then we have Mrs. Clazel. She is at McQueenie, and she also does the STEM lab at McQueenie, so that's why she is on campus. And then Mrs. Wellful is at Rodriguez and Leonard. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So just to start off, we have some key considerations for you here. We are showing you how you spend your money on these kiddos tonight. I'll let you kind of look at this for a moment. But mainly our goal is that we want to provide opportunities where our students can demonstrate skills in self-directed learning, thinking, research, and communication.
In Seguin ISD in elementary school, we have a pull-out model where students, of course, are supported by their classroom teachers, but they have us when they come out of the classroom and they get to work with like peers that are also gifted, so that we can really up that rigor and push beyond the classroom norms that their teacher allows for. They get to work with other gifted students in projects and project-based learning, and there's a very happy little perspective there.
And you can see on this slide also that in middle school we have our science class and advanced math, and then high school our AP classes and lower classes.
learning opportunities. All of our units, the GT units that we create them, but we're taking them and basing them on Texas Performance Standards Project, which you could look that up. There's a website for them. We look at those and we tweak them and use them as our own. And we meet, the 4 of us meet regularly on a monthly basis to plan those units and make sure the teams are aligned to each one of them for the grade level. And it's sort of like a fine jazz band, which I've never even played in a band, but we each have our own little expertise in specific areas, and like we throw out an idea and then somebody takes it and it just makes this like a symphony almost. It's wonderful. I really love working together and being able to plan. It's been great. Ms. Mappy has really allowed us time to do our own PLCs, monthly PLCs, and do this planning, so that it ensures that all of our campuses are doing the same things. And so that's what that's about. One other little thing I'll add to that, they come up with some really great ideas, and you guys are going to do the book study with 4th and 5th grade, correct? So they're going to have a district-wide book study, so all of our 4th and 5th graders will be reading the same book and then able, thanks to technology, to participate in it. It's from the Mixed Up Boston, which is one of my all-time faves. And thank you, Andrea, for letting us order the books.
Yes,
Thank you.
We also have been adding some things from Jason Learning this year, which is really cool because it's STEM-based, and that's my other job, so I really like it. But it also has a really neat twist where it has real-world connections, and you can talk to people, or they have little video clips from people in the field. So if you want to learn about a certain unit, you can learn from an expert, and that's really powerful rather than just me being the expert in the room. They can talk to or hear from a real, astronaut or something like that. So that's been a really cool element to add in to some of the other types of performance standards that we're already doing. So it's really cool.
So they're taking all of these bits and pieces and creating our own units of study that are specific to Seguin ISD that are aligned with what's happening in Tier 1 in classrooms, so that the kids are, they're already learning a little bit about something and they come into these classrooms and just go further with it.
As Ms. Clayton said, we are working under the aegis of the pooling model and kind of a resource type environment. But I'm excited to tell you, when we're not in our GT rooms, traipsing through the cerebral and creative canopy, we are actually engaging with teachers and students in the classroom. We are integrated and working cooperatively and collaboratively with teachers, working on extension activities in the class, helping students from items ranging from sight words to sentence construction, punctuation, tonation, story crafting. So that is very, very fun for us to get to not be an island unto ourselves.
Yes, and what's been great with that is that we're in K-1, 2 classrooms this fall, and that leads perfectly into testing. We're fixing to test kindergartners and then all second graders on an ability test, and they know our faces because we're in their rooms, so that helps. It's a talent development piece, so they can communicate with teachers and say, hey, are you seeing that in this kid? Maybe we can provide this opportunity. And maybe with their expertise, they see things that the classroom teachers don't quite see it. And like Mrs. Krause said, they're focusing on K-1, 2 in the fall semester to prepare, to get to know all those kids before we test, beginning with the first of the year. And then second semester, they'll be able to support a lot more in our testing grades.
Well, that facilitates, I'm sorry, Ms. Mann. It totally speaks to the PLC zeitgeist that is burgeoning here in the district.
So here is a little bit of data for you. This is from last year. And you can see the percentage of children that we identify as gifted and talented in Seguin ISD. We've discussed on different reports, you see anywhere from 5 to 7% or so of kids that, we expect to identify as GT. So we are working on evening that out across the district as much as possible. Here you can see our previous numbers across the years. So you see we're pretty consistent with that, which I think gives us confidence in our
processes for finding those kids and identifying those kiddos. Here you can see a little bit about our population served. We know that in the state of Texas and nationwide, Hispanic children are, there's a disproportionate number of Hispanic children identified for gifted and talented services, so we're working hard to address that, and we do see that gap closing. But another thing that you don't see here is we've seen almost a 10% increase over the past few years in economically disadvantaged children identified for gifted and talented services. So that's a big celebration. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what's new, what we've been working on. We have, our gifted and talented team has been working with Denise White from ICLE. We've been able to observe each other with her, collaborate with her on planning. She's worked with us on working on our units. We also, as we mentioned before, have been learning about Jason Learning. We've had online PDs where we can engage further with that platform and explore how to use that. I've been working with someone from Region 20 on kind of a long-term plan to refine our qualification processes in our district, as well as our instructional practices to ensure equity, because we want to make sure that our GT population mirrors that of the district. I'm skipping over that one because that's the fun one we're going to come to last. I'm working again with the same consultant at Region 20 on developing a plan for talent development at the secondary level. Something that is a long-term thing to go slow and make sure we do the right thing, because I feel like we're doing a good job meeting the needs of our kids now, so we want to just explore that and make sure we're doing the best job possible. These teachers here created their own 5 Habits walkthrough form, because the type of instruction we want to see in a GT classroom isn't necessarily what we always want to see in a gen ed classroom. So they actually took the initiative and created their own walkthrough form that administrators can use, and I can use whenever we come in the classroom, so we know what that type of instruction should look like and what those students should be doing in a GT classroom. And as we also mentioned, we're meeting for at least monthly PLC meetings to allow some real time for collaboration. I feel like in the past they haven't had as much time to really talk. And islands. And so we have really valued being able to participate in the PLC process fully. Now back to that one I skipped over. We're excited that we're launching the Google site, and we're hoping that it's going to work. And Mrs. Clazel's going to talk us through it.
We are so excited about a GT website because it has been a long time coming. As you know, that's something we talked about years ago. We've had internal things that we know what it says, but this is so that everybody knows what it says. We have handbooks, we have protocol, we have things that we want for all of our GT kids, and we want our parents to know that's what we want for their GT kids, and now the world is going to see. So we're so happy to have the website launching so that any parent that wants any information about testing, like the windows of testing, what should they look for in their child at home, even resources that might help their child that is already a gifted student of ours.
And a parent who's coming to our district, like coming to move here,
Yes.
they might search our website, specifically looking for this information. It's really good to have it right there.
And we're going to have some of the things that we've already made. Like we have slideshows, but this time, now parents can access that anytime they want. So if they want to know how we test and when we test and what are the tests going to be, they'll be able to find it. They'll have the referral form that they can print right off the website. They don't have to go through a long chain of commands or hunt us down, especially between campuses. So this is going to be wonderful and new and exciting. And then the other cool part is we're hoping to kind of feature some student work. So on the elementary schools side, first we have to learn how to be webmasters, so that's
We're working on that.
PLC agenda item. But we have little buttons for each campus, and I tried to add a few things for first and second, but we talked about having even our own kids select like some of your best work to showcase so that our 3rd through 5th graders who are maybe a little more tech savvy, they can put their own things in. So we have been sharing directly with parents through Seesaw, and we love Seesaw, but this would be something kind of cool that anybody could see, like you said, someone from out of district could say, oh, I wonder what they're doing in Seguin, and then kind of see some things that our kids are proud of. And we felt last year, especially whenever we were all kind of isolated and we could never meet and we were all sad at home, that we need some kind of virtual way to show things. Hopefully we won't have to go virtual, but even kids that can't come to an in-person thing, or parents that are working difficult hours, they can still have access to see some things that are going on across the district. And we have great things going on, they just need to be able to see it. So this will be a place where they can find it. It'll be easy because it'll just say GT, and then everything you ever need to know about GT will be in one place. So we're very excited about this. So thank you to the technology department and the Happy for getting this ball rolling.
It's like a never-ending virtual showcase.
And when is this gonna launch?
It's live.
It's already live? Okay. I'm gonna look it up when I go home.
It will be, we're gonna continue to update it. We'll have a side that our teachers can see for the resources that they need to access that won't be available to the public. Then we'll have resources for parents. We'll continually add things. Region 20 shares resources for parents and families. So we're envisioning this to be a place where we can put all of that, all of those things.
Even hopefully the 6-hour updates for teachers, this would be a great place. So if a teacher wants to do that on their own time on a weekend or in the summer, they can access it through here too. So there's no questions, because there's been a lot of email, you email me and I email you, and everybody emails each other, but this way everybody will know.
And everything is just in one place.
Yes.
We're very excited about it. And we're excited about letting the kids participate in it. And it be their website as well. So that is all we have. If anyone have any questions?
I have some questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. On the slide that had the previous, I just lost it. I think it was your page 27. The slide that had the ethnic breakdowns.
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain again to me what you said about the Hispanic population is at 70.7% here in our district, and we have 50% of that in the gifted and talented enrollment?
No, 50% of our GT enrollment is Hispanic. And ideally, we would like it to mirror.
Then you prefaced it, or you went on to say that you wanted to make sure that we knew that there was a growth in your economically disadvantaged percentage?
Yes.
Okay, but I don't see how much that is. What is the amount of the economically disadvantaged?
Well, it's not on here because whenever I was working with Mrs. Miranda, we just worked off of the old one. But when we were crunching all the numbers, she noted, and we went and looked, and over the past 4 years, there's almost a 10% increase.
Okay, so am I hearing you say that you're linking that with the Hispanic percentage?
No. Just that we have increased the amount of economically disadvantaged children that we've identified.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. I have one more question. Define for me what talent development is.
So talent development, and you guys might be able to, I'll define them, and if you guys can add to it, I would appreciate that. Talent development, the idea behind that is that we want to find children who we see the potential in them, and that perhaps they are gifted and talented, but they haven't been noticed because perhaps they don't fit the typical, what we value or what our testing systems value as gifted and talented. Some of the qualitative measures that we use, leadership and things like that, sometimes the kid doesn't necessarily fit that. And we want to be able to find those kids. We want to notice those kids. We want to find those kids that don't always fit the mold. And then there are kids who fit exactly, but we want to see them. Sometimes a child,
things about them before you notice that gifted or the potential giftedness in the child. And so it's an important thing for all teachers, all gen ed teachers, to be trained so that they can see these things in kids and nurture those things in their students. But we
So
want to be...
It could be like something in art or
Yes.
music?
Mm-hmm. Yes. We want to get in there and see, we want to just make sure every single one of our students reaches their full potential, and hopefully having this team go in K1 too helps those teachers see that as well. And so then we can spot a kid and say, hey, I think that this child perhaps is not on task because they're bored. And so when this team is in there, they can really point that out and hopefully help those teachers, provide some extension activities that deal with that boredom, and then we begin to see the potential in those kiddos.
Okay. All right, thank you
Yes.
for that clarification.
Thank you for your questions, but Mrs. Claisel has a little bit to add to that.
I have a specific example, because at McQueenie we had certain grade levels, especially in younger years, where we only had like one student qualified. And that's not really very fun, to have a class with just me and one first grader. Like, it's fun for me, but probably not that much fun for a first grader to just be sitting there with the teacher alone. And so I asked specifically to work with other kids that were not yet qualified for the program, but just to kind of work with a group so that we would have some more peer-to-peer interaction and just working with those kids. Then I can kind of get to know them, and some of them are quiet. At least one of them, I'm pretty sure, is autistic, so maybe they were not really seen before. But in a little small group setting with my other child that was already qualified for GT, I'm seeing all these wonderful things come out. And of course they can be tested again the next year, but they just didn't make it in kinder because some of them are just not mature enough yet to really get through the testing process and know, hey, I need to try my best on this. So those qualities will come out, and we have seen it over and over again, but especially with the younger ones, it's kind of nice to kind of fill your table up with some extras that are visitors for a while, and hopefully they'll be yours for keeps later after we retest. So that's the talent.
Like you said, you have to go traipsing through their cerebral cavity.
It's right. That is right. And this is why we're so happy to have them on.
Mr. Guerra has a question.
Because I love that.
Mr. Guerra has a question as well.
So I think Mark might have talked about this a couple of years ago as far as the criteria that is used, and let's use an ESL student, for example. That student may already possess some qualities that he isn't able to display because of testing that he does in English. Does the state provide any?
We test in Spanish too.
Spanish?
Yes, we do.
So that's been going on all along?
Yes, it has.
So what percentage are ESL students?
I'm not sure. That one I'd have to get back to you on, especially with our dual and language of instruction, to know exactly, which kids and which language of instruction. But we can get back to you on that for sure. But we do also acknowledge that sometimes a child, a lot of kids are, in between. And so that's why that talent development piece comes in so strong. A child may not be able to demonstrate their full potential in Spanish or English because they're not really solid in either one. I love what we're doing with dual in this district, and now we're teaching kids to read and write and speak in their first language, but we still have kids who have grown up always hearing two. And so that again, that talent development piece is so important, to see that in a kid and make sure we're meeting their needs, and have this team be able to push into classrooms and help teachers meet their needs because they're GT all day, every day. And so we want to find those kiddos and make sure we're serving them. Thank you for your question.
Well, I want to say we love your enthusiasm for PLCs. We love your love. And also, back in my memory, I'm recalling, and I know I've been to a few showcase sessions or something. I know Ms. Krause, I've seen her. Are we continuing to do those? Okay, I'll just keep my eyes open.
We're hoping,
Not
now
last
that
year.
COVID is.
Not last year, okay.
Yeah, not last year.
Okay, and it seemed like it may have been tagged onto the technology showcase as well.
Right, we did do that then.
Okay.
And we have like campus level ones.
All right. Well, all right, I'll just keep my ears open.
But now you'll be able to look on our website and see when we'll
Well,
be in
can't wait to
in-person
get home
showcase.
because I can't get to the website. Okay, all right, thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all so much.
Moving on to item 4D, we're going to be taking a look at a strategic priority and initiative report. Taking a strong look at rigor and relevance framework. Good evening, Ms. Harnio.
Hello, good evening. Yes, so we will be talking about our utilizing our rigor and relevance framework district-wide. As you know, we have been doing this for several years, so I will just give you a quick update of how we are utilizing this school year. Just wanted to give you the report time. We have rigor and relevance this month, and then next month we will talk about our curriculum. So at the end of last year, we worked with RSSP to create a task force to address unfinished learning. Out of that task force, we had elementary teachers, middle school, and high school all together kind of discussing how are we going to fix unfinished learning. One of the big outcomes that came from that task force was learner engagement. We need to get our students engaged in what we're teaching them, and so that was one of the big ahas that we found while we did that task force. So in thinking about ICLE and how does that connect, our district focus this school year is to utilize the learner engagement rubric while planning to ensure that those high levels of engagement are happening across content areas and across the campus. So our admin expectations this school year is 1 CIR walkthrough. So that is 1 coaching walkthrough per month where they will utilize that learner engagement rubric. That is our expectations. However, many of our principals and campus administrator teams are doing more than just the 1. And then we are also ensuring teachers are utilizing the engagement rubric while planning. And this is elementary and secondary. So we're doing this across the board. And what is the learner engagement rubric? What does that focus on? There's 3 key areas there. Active participation. How are students engaging in the learning? Are they just being compliant and yes and no and doing my stations? Or are they really owning their learning and getting involved and setting goals and expectations for themselves? Then we go into the learning environment, which again, how is the environment set up and how are the students owning their learning? Really creating lessons that are engaging, not just for the teacher, but for the students to really own their learning. And then what formative processes and tools are we using? How are we doing quick, timely checks with our students to ensure that they're understanding and capturing the learning that we are asking of them? And so we have our campus support. This is our plan, and so when Denise White, as Leslie had discussed with the GT facilitators, when she comes to Seguin, what are we doing when she's here? And so for elementary, the focus this year is really on our gifted and talented teachers. And you've heard how they are excited to be utilizing her to dig into their units of study. She also does walkthroughs with Leslie. They go to specific campuses and they will do walkthroughs in the GT classrooms just to see how can we enhance the learning opportunities here for our students. And then they do that in the morning, and then in the afternoon, they do very specific planning at that time. So she's observed them, and now she's coming back and doing a good 3-4 hours of digging into their lesson plans.
And I just want to say that historically, we've struggled with getting our GT kids to commended and now to masters. And so the purpose is to increase the level of engagement. And I think the evidence that you just saw tonight with the work that the GT teachers are doing with the rigor relevance framework, learner engagement, was certainly seen when they talked about some of the work that they're doing in their classrooms to increase that level of engagement, to really challenge those students to grow. And that is an area, when you look at our accountability, we've got to get those students to meet and hopefully to masters.
Yes, thank you. And then our secondary support, again, walkthroughs with Denise White and who is our ICLE representative. We just know her by name because she practically lives here in Seguin. And the campus admin, and then planning and PLC supports specifically with the teachers, and she's also doing a lot of professional learning on instructional strategies. So each time she meets with them, she'll introduce an instructional strategy from her playbook and then gives that tools to our teachers. Our multilingual coordinator is sitting in at the secondary support level so that she can then learn and see how can we translate this into our ESL classrooms. And we're seeing a lot of connections. So that's something that we are really, really pleased with this year. We're seeing connections across elementary, secondary, ESL, bilingual, GT, and really trying to make a cohesive learning experience for all of our students. Our next steps, we're going to continue to monitor fidelity of the CIR walkthroughs with our campus admin. Look for the evidence of the enhanced learner engagement in classrooms as a result of how they're planning. Create opportunities for admins to share. So we have started this school year administrator PLCs. So we have a half day of principal meeting where we're giving a lot of information, and then the second part of the day, our two directors take both of their teams, elementary in one room principals and secondary in another room principals, and they have a PLC just for principals. And so really having those conversations across campuses to really talk about how they are utilizing this. And that is it.
How often are these admin PLCs?
Once a month.
Once a month, and
Yes.
half a day?
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then last on our reports is a strategic priority and initiative report focusing on secondary fall data. Ms. Block.
Yes, so Dr. Shanda Block is going to be providing this fall update, but I did want to discuss just quickly what a blessing she has been to our district and on our team. She meets weekly with our secondary admin teams, one-on-one with each principal, one-on-one with each academic dean, and one-on-one with the associate principals, Now, what does she do during those one-on-one meetings? Discuss their problems of practice. What big pieces do you need my assistance with this week? Every single week she is meeting. That has really helped us streamline processes. She is also leading our academic deans, curriculum, and support at the secondary level, and really just kind of my right hand, helping with anything C&I, and so we are so appreciative of that. So she will share a quick data update. Dr. Vaughn.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Gutierrez, and members of the board. Thank you for having me. So tonight, I'm just briefly going to be going over secondary data, and it's just focusing on the second interim that we recently just took right before we left for Thanksgiving. And so this is going to be our next steps based upon this data and where we currently stand. So again, always looking at data, we're data driven. We're really trying to make sure that we are focusing on students' needs and really how we can strengthen our instruction in Tier 1. So first I'm going to start with the high school, and so you're going to see a lot of colors. So all of this basically, all of the campuses have to set goals, and they set goals to where they want to end up being in 2022. The high school, of course, their focus is to be a B. That is what they are striving for, and they are on track to achieve a B at the high school currently. So you're going to see in the right-hand column is their 2022 goal, and then on the right-hand column is their interim to results. Again, this is already their second interim, and this was taken before Thanksgiving. So we are having some growth, and I want to point out biology is exceeding our expectations and meets, and also in masters. We're also showing some growth in meeting our expectations in English 1 for masters. They're 19% currently, and their goal is 14%. Algebra and English 2, we've been focusing on growth. Those are our two content areas where you get growth at the high school. So we've really been focusing on that and then trying to figure out our next steps. So I will just give you a moment to kind of look at it. We, like I said, are pretty much on track. They're happy with those results right now, and they're trying to figure out their next steps, which you'll see on the next slide.
Chanda.
Yes.
Excuse me. The tests that were given, Are those prior end-of-course tests? Or
No.
something that the district made?
No, so the district does make the interims, and so this year the coordinators work with the campuses to create these interims. Teachers do not see these interims ahead of time, and so really this year the focus has been focusing on cumulative. So interim 2 is a more meaty test, and it's taking content that's already been taught first and second 6 weeks. And so we're going to go into January where we're going to do the TEA middle of year interim, and so that will also give us that data, and that will be from TEA, and it will be a lengthier test. So every time we give it, it's focusing on TEKs that the students have already been taught versus TEKs that they don't know. So this is a more accurate depiction of where the student currently is sitting at this time.
So on the bottom chart, English 1 and English 2 have been combined?
Yes, they combine just because that's when they come through in the English scores, that's normally they're combined. And so it's just showing their overall goal. I will tell you normally we find that English 2 carries a little bit more for English 1. And so that's something that they really focus on, is just trying to figure out where, I think this year English 2 has been outperforming a little bit English 1. And I think that a lot of that too is just the gaps that kids were coming with, and so, but they're always combined overall when they look at the data.
Then their goals are the same.
Yes. They're pretty consistent across the board. U.S. history and biology always perform well, so their goals are always higher. I'll tell you that they have to kind of play around with it to, they're really focused at the high school of getting a B, and so they're really trying to push. Right now, the really big focus is to push algebra, because English 2 is carrying some of those growth scores that they're counting on. And so right now they're having conversations with all of their Algebra 1 teachers to really push them, and it's all the way down to the student level, kid by kid. They know all of their kids in every class period and what they're struggling with and what their plan is. And so that's kind of the plan of action at the high school, and I'll kind of touch base on that here in a second. And so again, for the high school, this is just their growth and what they're focusing on. At all of our secondary campuses, we are focused on growth. We're focused on individual student growth, and we're really looking at each teacher to see each class period who's growing students and who is not growing students. And so at the high school, one of the things, the academic dean, Ms. Holliday, really has, she's wonderful with data. She's amazing. With numbers, and so she even came back to the academic dean meeting and shared her formula with all of the academic deans to really focus on growth and go teacher by teacher, class period by class period, and the high school is focusing on all student growth, your ELs, their growth, and then your special ed students, their growth. And so the high school is really targeting in on those, all students, your EL student, and your special ed student. And so they also notate whether or not it is an advanced class and what that growth is. And so what they do then after every interim, they have an individual conversation, Dr. Esquivel and Ms. Holliday, with every teacher, and they go over every single period. And they go over then every single student and create a plan to help that student achieve where they need to be.
Can I just ask a quick question? I think this is something that the high school does very well, and they've done this from the very beginning. Do you see this trickling down to the middle schools as well?
Yeah, so I will talk about that. So that's what we've been focused on, is growth. And so just my work with the academic deans, they are doing the same things. And when I talk about their next steps, I'll talk about exactly what they're doing.
Thank you.
So these are next steps that were created with Ms. Holliday, Dr. Esquivel, and myself, and it's really just focused in on student data and where they currently are. Again, like I just talked about, meeting individually with all of their teachers. They do in Algebra 1 and English 2. And currently they're just really focusing in on Algebra 1 and how they can push Algebra 1 teachers to the next level. Also, they have flex time where they use targeted interventions. They focus on students who were not successful on an EOC. They also are currently focusing in on students who have not passed an interim. And so they do a variety of things where students go to different classes. Their department leads are off during that time. Mr. Newland and Ms. Garza, so they pick up additional tutorials in English and also in algebra. They also have some push-ins, and then they utilize their math and reading interventionists to really work with their struggling students. One thing that's new at the high school this year, Ms. Holliday took all of the students who were not showing growth on any assessment so far this year. And so then she plotted them and had the math and reading interventionists go to every single class period to try and figure out, is it a biology problem? Is it an algebra problem? Is it across the board problem? What do we need to do to make the student be successful? And so with all of that data, she took all of that data then to each planning PLC, for instance, the English 1 PLC, and said, this is your student. They're struggling in biology. How can you as the English teacher support that student in biology? What recommendations? This is what we saw in that biology class, and this is what they're struggling with, so how can you help support that student? And so they're really at the high school taking an all hands-on approach. It may not be my content, but we're still going to support that student to be successful. And then of course, as you just heard, the high school is really working with that engagement rubric. Denise White, she goes into all of the planning sessions. They utilize that engagement rubric, and then the follow-up, once they decide on the strategy, is she goes into a classroom and she watches the teacher deliver that strategy, and then they get immediate feedback. And so this has really grown capacity for the department leads, the administrators, and then also for Ms. Holliday. So those are the high school's next steps. So any questions on the high school before I move to middle?
I just want to say that it does look like they're headed towards a B, so congratulations.
They are going to be a B. They will.
Congratulations to you and Dr. Escabel, Ms. Holliday, and the teachers and the students.
Absolutely.
Everybody's doing
They're
top
very
work.
focused.
Okay.
All right. We're going to start with Ajv Middle School. So we all know that the middle schools ended with an F, so they currently still have that rating of an F, and they're not going to be an F by the end of this year. It will take everything we have, and they will not be an F. I can guarantee that. I'm going to knock on wood so I do not jinx myself, but they've all been working very hard and really been focused on what we can do that's best for students. So I will tell you our focus at the middle school is Tier 1 instruction. Tier 1 instruction with student engagement. That's something that's been lacking. We don't just want a student who's compliant, but we want a student who enjoys learning and enjoys being at school, because the more engaged they are in the classroom, the less behaviors will occur, and the more they're going to learn and be successful and want to be at school. So that's been the focus at both middle schools all year long, and really just having a continuous approach where everyone is speaking the same language. So the focus all year from CNI, from everywhere, has been that same common language where we all speak. They speak the same language. We speak it at principal meetings. We speak it with the academic deans. It's spoken at all of their PLCs. This year, the middle schools restructured their professional learning communities. They meet 3 times a week versus 1 time a week in the past, and so they've really bought into that process. And so we're really looking at it being data-driven, really to get results, and focusing on student growth. So AJB has shown growth. They are working very hard. Again, you can see on there they have their 2022 goals, and then they have their current results. Now I'm going to tell you that the data is not exactly where we want it to be. We know their shortcomings. The coordinators here at the district office, I can tell you they're amazing. They work every day with all of the teachers at both campuses to really create a solid plan. And so currently, with all of the data together, for approaches, AJB would be at 57%, for meets 28%, and for masters at 12%. They do have some highlights going on right now. 8th grade math was showing a tremendous amount of growth in this last interim from where they were. Remember, these were those 7th grade students that scored in the 30s. And on this interim, they scored 64%, 36%, and 16% masters on, I'm totally wrong. They scored 80, 55, and 23. That was the combined, excuse me. So yes, even better. At 8th grade in algebra had a tremendous amount of growth. And so really we're just focusing on areas. I will tell you an area of concern from the middle schools are 6th grade math and reading. And so I will kind of talk about some of those next steps here in a moment. But they recently just came and had a data dialogue. Both campuses had a data dialogue separate for Dr. Gutierrez and the rest of C&I just to kind of go over their next steps. So any questions in particular on AJV's interim 2 data? Okay. So this is their growth also. And again, this takes all of their tests focusing on 6th, 7th, and 8th. Again, this is just focusing on math and reading. So for my next steps, I just focus on math and reading. And so as you can see, for instance, in 8th grade algebra, they had 92% growth. In 8th grade math, they had 90% growth. Again, this is their growth compared to last year's STAR scores. And so we're really focusing in on growth at both middle schools because this is their year. This is their year to grow from where they were at. And so really just honing in on that with admin and with teachers and also with students to have them take some of that growth ownership. So again, 6th grade are 2 areas where we know that we are working. Those are your lowest areas. They seem to struggle at both Barnes and AJV coming from 5th grade. We also know that our 6th graders are students that really have not necessarily been in school since spring semester when they were in 4th grade. And so we know that they are lacking some foundational skills that we're trying to figure out how to close that gap and help meet their needs. So any questions on growth for AJV? All right, so these are AJV's next steps. So we do have a new curriculum in 6th grade math. I will tell you it's very rigorous Tier 1 curriculum. It is a great curriculum. It is a scripted curriculum, but teachers really have to internalize that process and take ownership, and we are getting there. All of the teachers at AJV have bought into the curriculum, and they are now internalizing it and starting to see the benefit of this rigorous instruction. One of the downsides was it was more rigorous than what they were used to teaching, and so how to use scaffold for students. And so now they're starting to see, well, maybe the way we were doing it wasn't the best way. So we did have to back up and regroup and realize that our parents maybe needed to learn about the curriculum, and also we are doing a station rotation model in math, a blended learning model in 6th grade. And so our wonderful math coordinator, she is amazing. Thank goodness she knows all math. I do not. Miss Kathy Kober, she actually put together a parent night for both campuses and presented it. And she presented it in a station rotation just like students receive in the classroom. And so both campuses have already had that. That was kind of a next step just to help. Also, she explained to parents how they can help their students at home and showed them the resources for them at home. Another thing that AJV is focused on, again, that growth, is they already had a campus growth data review, so they've gone over the whole campus and they've gone all the way down to the student. That same process that was done at the high school, the 2 middle schools have taken and adapted that process because, again, we really want to focus on growth. And so the teachers know every class period what students. At AJV, they call them droppers. That's the terminology they use at AJV. That means that they've dropped from the last interim and they've dropped from the last STAR. And so they have to create a plan, every teacher, for all of their droppers. And so that is something that they're working on, so no student goes backwards ever. In 6th grade, again, monthly, they get to work with the Region Center, Region 20. Dr. Gutierrez came and did calibrated walks with me, I believe like it's time's flown, a month ago at AJV, and he got to visit 6th grade math. They were very large, over 25 students, which is very difficult to do a blended learning, that particular station rotation. So he did allow for an additional math teacher, so class sizes now are 15 and below in 6th grade. They're very targeted. The math interventionist / department lead went back into the classroom. She probably took some of the most difficult students to really focus on that student growth. She started in that position back in the classroom the week that we got back from Thanksgiving. So that was already in place. Parents were contacted. And so really, again, when they work with Ms. Kober, our math coordinator in Region 20, it's focusing on internalizing those lesson plans, really how they're going to make it be their own to meet the needs of the students. And then they have TAG, the high school has Flex, AJB has TAG. And so at TAG, it's really, they do a 3-week cycle and they focus either on math, reading, social studies, or science. And it's targeted students that need targeted interventions. And then again, the ICLE work with Denise White. She has really been focusing in on all contents, but specifically math and reading for the middle schools. For their ELAR next steps, you see that performance droppers. They've identified all of their performance droppers based upon this interim. They also went to identify specific teacher support. So what happened with that? Dr. Williman got together with Ms. Price to create a specific plan for 6th grade ELAR and what those next steps were going to be, and she presented that to Dr. Diaz so that they could continue the work. They also took their ELAR lead. She's also teaching an additional 6th grade class just to help reduce size to make more of an impact. Just to help with that, their 6th grade group is large. Their targeted interventions will begin in January, and AJB is starting their student goal setting meetings in January. So what that will look like, they will have subs for their teachers, and they will have individual goal settings for students one-on-one to go over where their goals are going to be for their next interim and then also for STAR. And then PLC support for that intentional lesson planning, and then again, that work with Denise White. So that is AJB. Any questions on them?
Jen, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment, especially seeing all that they've done at AJB along with the construction that they have to navigate through. Big kudos to that faculty for coming together at this time and putting all of this in place.
Yes, they're working hard, I can tell you. The kids don't even notice the construction. All the adults do, but the kids do not notice at all. My daughter's in 7th grade, and when I talk to her about it, she's like, what? All she wants to know is when the stage is going to be ready for performances. So here's Barnes data. Again, some of their areas are 6th grade reading and 6th grade math. Those are some of their weak areas, that same trend that we saw at AJB. Again, their math grade had growth, not as high in particular as AJB. I will also say this is really when you start to look at that data, when we start to look at those teacher plans, both campuses have to present with me one-on-one during our one-on-ones. We go over every teacher that's on a plan, where they're at in the process, what supports are being provided, and kind of those next steps. Barnes has been very aggressive with their teachers, providing support, asking the coordinators to come in and help and assist, and just kind of those next steps. They do have a lot of very new math teachers, and so that's evident in the score. So Ms. Cober, the math coordinator, has been working with both campuses, but has been trying to really create what that's going to look like for Barnes to give them the support they need in math. Some of their highlights: reading, 8th grade, they were doing pretty well. Science has also been doing well. And so right now, overall, all of their scores for approaches, they're 61%, for meets 33%, for masters 15%. I think if they really push through, they will be a firm C, honestly. They have been working together. The admin team has really come together. They're really focused on student success and what that instruction looks like in the classroom. And so they're really working hard to get there. Both campuses are, but.
Can I ask a question about this one? Is this one, like the number in science at the top and the number in science at the bottom don't match each other, the same with social studies. Which one is the right?
So it depends, the one at science, it's because the 84 and the 62.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that data, Chanda.
Yeah.
Because it should be the same, so it's.
Yeah, it should be the same. And I can tell you I was an expert to pull this data, but I did not. So I will definitely look at it. It could have been transposed when I copied and pasted it over from my spreadsheet. But I will tell you that the real results are the ones in, I can tell you, hold on. The ones in the red are right because they're 84% in science. Yes, ma'am. So I have this spreadsheet and it has all of the campuses together, and so I can just double check. All right, so these are their growth scores, and these are accurate, and this is their growth from STAR last year to the interim this year. Again, 6th grade is our area where we really need to focus on student growth. 8th grade is showing quite a bit of growth, and also 8th grade algebra. Barnes is not has more room to go. Their scores though were higher last year versus AJB, so AJB is going to outperform them in growth, and they currently are. And so Barnes really needs, they're focusing on their growth to really increase that. So some of the next steps are kind of some of the same things. They're focusing again on that student by student conversation on growth. PLC conversation, so they've even focused and moved their PLCs on Fridays to shift, so they're working on the I do, we do, you do, and so their Friday PLCs now will be focusing on the I do with Ms. Kober. She's really going over there because we're really, again, looking at what the students actually doing, that engagement during the math classroom, and is it aligned to really what the TEAC is asking them. Their math lead, Ms. Pond, is also going in and co-teaching with some of the struggling teachers and really creating that plan. So she's going into model, and then she co-teaches, and then the teacher has to do it on their own, and then observations by the academic dean and herself, and then Ms. Kober to kind of move that forward. And then 6th and 7th grade math, those are those coaching plans I was talking about, and so that was developed with Ms. Kober and then also with Ms. Pond. ELAR next steps. Again, PLC is just really focusing on trends and next steps. The coaching support that we have, Dr. Willman also goes in and coaches. Ms. Hardwick, the academic dean at Barnes, was a former coordinator of ELAR for her previous district, so she's very strong in ELAR, and so they've been showing quite a bit of growth in English language arts, and so really just focusing on that. 6th grade, because we know it's our lowest area, they have what's called Intervention Fridays, and so really that's just spiraling in those low-performing TEACs to make sure students are really getting those and working with a blended learning model, and then really focusing on the engagement rubric with ICLE. So just kind of an overview. This year, some of the things that are a little different in secondary. I meet weekly with the campus administration. We always look at data. We always look at teacher coaching plans and supports, and we always look at areas of concerns and next steps. I also meet with the academic deans weekly, and we do that also. This year, the targeted ICLE with Denise White monthly, it's very targeted, focusing on Tier 1 instruction and student engagement in the classroom. And then the ELAR and math, also science. I don't want to leave out our wonderful science coordinator. She does the same. Really going in, and they attend as many PLCs as possible. They're always on campus. They give very targeted feedback every single day to all of the administration team, not just the principals. So that way everyone knows what is going on and what they see in the classroom, and then that way they can take that feedback and do with it what they need to do. They create plans with the principals and academic deans and really just work on that. This year also, I have the coordinators, they're giving feedback for lesson plans weekly. So they go in and provide feedback for all of the grade levels and content areas, and they provide it to the principal, academic dean, and associate principal. It's just because this is their area of expertise, so they really are able to help delve in, and then that leads their work for the upcoming week, what campuses they need to work with, what areas they really need to focus on to help that Tier 1 instruction. And then I meet every Thursday with all of the academic deans and coordinators to really focus on what Tier 1 instruction looks like, our next steps. And we do a lot, like I talked about this holiday, really teaching everyone how to create that growth map. And we just kind of are all on the same page. That's one thing I will say for secondary this year. They're all on the same page, really working together, the coordinators and the academic deans and principals, to really make sure that we are aligned 6-12 and we're all just doing what's best for students. So any questions? I know it's a lot, and I will get a new updated for you, Ms. Brendan.
I know that this was very comprehensive, but we felt it was very important to really paint a good picture of the work that's happening at the middle schools. I feel that we've made a lot of progress, and it has been a journey, and it has taken time to get to this place. And over the last few years, we've put in place structures and systems of support for our leaders, but also our teachers. I feel like the way that we are structured here centrally also helps in having Shanda provide that on-time feedback to our principals. And as you can see, they're really digging deep into the data. They're looking at kid by kid. They're looking at teacher by teacher. They're identifying how they can support teachers and also taking action immediately when they see trends in classrooms with walkthroughs are data. But most importantly, they're focusing on that tier 1 instruction, the instruction that should be happening every single day on the campus that's going to grow students and ensuring that our students are exposed to a quality curriculum. And so all of these pieces are coming together, and I feel very confident that all of the right ingredients are finally in place to really move our middle schools to where they need to be.
Thank you, you did a great job, Dr. Block. I do want to say that the middle schools, it's so comprehensive and a little bit overwhelming, and it is nice to hear that they're making progress. I think all of us are pleased with that. I do have one question, and I'm sorry, I don't know who this question is for, but I may have missed this in a report, but do we have an academic dean at AJB right now? Is that?
Ms. Pape is still
Oh, she's
the
still there?
academic dean,
Okay.
yes ma'am,
Okay.
and so she's still serving in that capacity.
Okay, all right.
We've gone through, because of where we are with the middle schools, it has been a 3-level interview process where they interviewed with a team of campus staff and curriculum and went through some intense questions. They came back, went through a piece where they looked at data. They actually facilitated a real PLC. It was the curriculum coordinators, and they operated as if it was a PLC taking place and presented challenges to those individuals. They also had to have some difficult conversations, crucial conversations as well. So that was the second round, and then the third round was with me this afternoon. So we're in that final stretch and should have a recommendation tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay.
But all the campuses are working really hard. They really are doing a great job, the administration and the teachers, so. Thank you.
Thank you. Please let them know how pleased we are with their progress.
I will.
All right, next up on our agenda is to possibly go into closed session, but we will not be doing that this evening. So we'll skip on to item 7, which is our consent agenda items. BE policy states that the consent agenda shall include items of a routine and/or recurring nature grouped together under one action item. This will be acted upon by one vote without separate discussion unless one of the trustees requests that an item be withdrawn for consideration. The remaining items shall be adopted under a single motion and vote as applicable. So in our consent agenda items this evening, we have item A, approval of board minutes of the regular meeting for November 16th, 2021. Item B, approval of tax collection reports for November 2021. Item C, approval of proposed budget amendments and financial statements for October 2021. Item D, approval of district-wide special ed services, which is RFP 2105. And item E, acknowledge a Public Information Act request for November and December 2021. Do any of the trustees want to pull any of these for individual consideration? Okay, if not, do I hear a motion for approval? I have a motion from Mr. Amador to approve these as written, and a second from Ms. Linda Duncan. Any further questions, comments? All in favor, raise your right hand. Glenda, can you give me a verbal vote? Is she there?
I approve.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Okay. And then that brings us to item 8, which is our action items. We have one action item this evening, which is personnel action of professional employees. So Ms. Moreno.
Good evening. me again. We have 2 professional hires. Christopher Colon, which is a behavior teacher in the special education department. I know he was welcomed with open arms. We needed his support, so we're very happy to have Mr. Colon with us. And also Sarah Rodham is the new Jefferson Elementary librarian. And that was a vacancy we had since the beginning of the year, so we're very pleased to bring Ms. Sarah Rodham on board. We also have a few resignations for your consideration. Ms. Kashima Uli put in a resignation but would like to rescind that this evening and remain with us until the end of the school year. And we're pleased, very pleased to have her.
So as we look at this list of professional employees for resignations, we're going to amend it and take out the listing of Ms. Cassandria Bowie. All right. So then we'll be taking the resignations of Alexandria Anderson, Alyssa Chandler, Heather Germany, Mary Hernandez, Blas Mendez, Victor Sandoval, and Douglas Wheeler. Do I hear a motion for approval? Thank you, Mr. Amador. Motion for Mr. Amador. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Ms. Crittenden. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, thank you. So motion carries 6-0. Thank you. All right, and so last up, we have an opportunity for the board to make any comments or requests. Anybody have anything?
I just have a quick comment. On the construction and trades open house that did go, I was very impressed with the presentation that they gave, and I was even more impressed with the plans that they have for the outside building that they're thinking about that hopefully will come to fruition. It was like an $80,000 project, but it's definitely going to give the students hands-on training that they need.
I did want to say I've heard from a couple of board members that it would be nice starting up again next calendar year for us to be able to give board reports, and a lot of that may be dependent on whatever happens with COVID rates and things along that line. But it's just something to keep an eye on and reach out to us about before we make the next agenda.
Wonderful. Hoping that things continue as they are.
And along with that, could we add on the report a list of dates and times again being sent to us of things you go to?
So kind of pulled together, I mean, well, a lot of that comes from Mr. Adam.
Right.
I think we have an easy, we have an easy fix for that. So
Okay,
we
good.
can work on that so that you have a listing of just all of the important ideas that are happening.
Okay, correct.
We'll just share what we use as a team.
Okay, appreciate that.
Nancy?
Yes.
These are for us to,
Somebody had requested them, so we
Okay.
thought we'd give one to each of y'all. It's
Okay.
stacked. Those are just cards for you to use if you'd like, or the district, a
Okay.
few of each of the district cards that were
Okay.
created.
okay, thank you. Also, I think Dr. Gutierrez may be reaching out to you in the very near future, giving you some more input on one of the things that was in his superintendent communique last week. So y'all just keep your eyes open for that. No other questions or comments or requests? Yes.
I'm intrigued.
Oh, look back. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and I'll take a motion to adjourn. It is 8:28. Mr. Amador would like to adjourn. Anybody else? Ms. Crittenden, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. And Glenda, would you like to stick around for a few minutes?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. This meeting is now adjourned. It is 8:29.